You did everything right. You studied hard. You got the grades. You listened to every adult in your life who told you the same thing. Go to college, get a degree, get a good job, pay off your loans. It's the path. It's the deal. It's basically the only move on the board. So you took out the loans, you got the degree, and now, years later, you're staring at a balance that barely moved. In 2025, the average student loan borrower owes over $37,000. Millions of graduates are working jobs that don't pay enough to cover their monthly loan payments, and they can't figure out why nobody told them to run the math first. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Somebody did run the math, just not for you. Because while you were being told a college degree is the ticket to the middle class, a system was quietly being built. One where universities, loan servicers, and the federal government all profit whether you succeed or not. Today, we're breaking down how the college degree became one of the most expensive products in American history, who engineered the system that got us here, and what the people selling you this dream never wanted you to calculate. To understand how we got here, we have to go back to 1944. Imagine it's the end of World War II. 16 million American soldiers are coming home. The government has a problem and an opportunity. They need to reintegrate millions of veterans into a peacetime economy, so Congress passes the Servicemen's Readjustment Act. Most people know it as the GI Bill. The idea was straightforward. Pay for veterans to go to college, give them a shot at the middle class. It worked. College enrollment exploded. A generation of working-class Americans got degrees, bought homes, and built the most prosperous middle class in history. Here's the part nobody tells you. Back then, tuition was cheap enough that a summer job could cover it. In 1970, a year at a public university cost around $400. That's roughly $3,000 in today's money. Today, the average cost of a public four-year university is over $25,000 per year. It wasn't supposed to be this way. The original promise was access. What replaced it was extraction. So how did tuition go from affordable to astronomical? The answer is student loans, and specifically what happened when the government guaranteed them. Here is how the system actually works. In a normal lending market, banks take on risk. If they lend money to someone unlikely to repay, they lose money. That risk forces discipline. Banks ask hard questions. They evaluate whether the investment makes sense. Federal student loans removed that discipline entirely. When the government guarantees the loan, the bank cannot lose. The university gets paid whether the student succeeds or fails. The loan servicer collects interest for decades regardless of outcome. And the student is left holding a debt that, uniquely in American law, cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. Think about that. You can walk away from a bad mortgage. You can discharge credit card debt. But student loans follow you forever. Economists call what happened next the Bennett hypothesis, named after former Education Secretary William Bennett, who argued in 1987 that universities would simply raise tuition to capture whatever financial aid the government offered. He was right. Tuition has risen 1,200% since 1980. That is 4 times the rate of general inflation. It is twice the rate of healthcare cost increases. The guaranteed loan did not make college more affordable. It made college more expensive by removing the only mechanism that would have forced universities to compete on price. Now here is where it gets dark. The question you have to ask is, what did universities do with all that money? Some of it went to academics, but the numbers tell a different story. Since 1980, administrative staff at American universities grew more than 60% faster than the number of actual faculty. Not professors, administrators, deans of diversity, vice provosts of student experience, associate directors of enrollment strategy. Roles that did not exist a generation ago are now funded by your tuition dollars. Then there is the amenities arms race. Universities discovered that students, or more accurately the loan system paying for students, could be attracted with luxury. Climbing walls, resort-style pools, Division I stadiums. private dormitory suites. These are not education investments. They are marketing expenses, designed to attract students who are choosing a school with borrowed money they will not repay for decades. And at the top of the pyramid, elite university. Endowments grew to staggering levels. Harvard's endowment currently sits at over $50 billion. It is tax-exempt. Yet Harvard charges over $85,000 per year in total costs. The endowment exists, and the tuition rises anyway. The loans keep flowing. But here's the catch. Not all degrees are equally broken. If you graduate with an engineering degree, a computer science degree, or if you enter medicine or law, the return on investment, while slow, is generally real. High salaries eventually justify the debt. The collapse is concentrated elsewhere. Graduates with degrees in the arts, humanities, and many social sciences face median starting salaries between $35,000 and $45,000. On a $37,000 loan, at standard repayment, that is a monthly payment of around $380. On a $40,000 salary, after tax, that payment is crushing. For-profit colleges are the worst of all. Schools like the former IT Technical Institute and Corinthian colleges aggressively recruited low-income students using federal loan money, delivered poor quality education, and left graduates with high debt and credentials employers did not recognize. ITT collapsed in 2016. Corinthian colleges collapsed in 2015. Hundreds of thousands of students were left with worthless degrees and full loan balances. The system did not punish these schools until they became impossible to ignore. And even then, loan forgiveness took years of legal battles. Now, here's the part almost nobody talks about. Even if your degree has poor return on investment, you might feel like you have no choice but to get one anyway. That feeling is not an accident. There's a concept called credential inflation. As more people earn college degrees, employers begin requiring them, not because the job changed, but because the degree became a filter, a credential that signals baseline compliance, not actual skill. In 1970, 26% of jobs required a college degree. Today, that number is over 50%. Many of those jobs, administrative assistants, retail managers, customer service supervisors, are roles that haven't fundamentally changed. The work didn't get more complex. The credential requirement just became a way to sort a larger applicant pool. So, here's the trap. If you don't get a degree, you get filtered out. If you do get a degree, you may spend a decade repaying debt on a salary that barely justifies it. The system forces participation even when the math doesn't work, because opting out comes with its own penalty. Who wins? Universities fill seats. Loan servicers collect interest. And the federal government, which technically profits on student loans on paper, keeps the program running. But something is shifting, and it is shifting fast. Major employers, Apple, Google, IBM, and Tesla have publicly dropped degree requirements for many positions. They are hiring based on demonstrated skills, portfolios, and technical assessments. Meanwhile, a genuine wage premium is emerging in the trades. Electricians, plumbers, HVAC technicians, and welders are earning $60,000 to $90,000 without a 4-year degree. Some of them have less than 2 years of training. In a labor market where skilled tradespeople are increasingly scarce, the economics of vocational training are becoming hard to ignore. Some states are also beginning to crack down on predatory for-profit institutions, defunding low-performing programs, and tying accreditation to graduate outcomes. The idea of a degree as the default is starting to crack. It is not broken yet, but the cracks are real. So, what can you actually do about this? Number 1, run the return on investment calculation before you commit. Take the median starting salary for your intended field. Look up the average loan amount for your target school. Calculate the monthly payment using the standard 10-year repayment plan. If more than 10% of your take-home pay goes to loan repayment, that is a red flag. Do this math before you sign anything. Number 2, consider community college plus transfer. 2 years at a community college followed by a transfer to a 4-year institution can cut total costs by 40 to 60%. The degree at the end is identical. The debt load is radically different. Number 3, Take the trades seriously. Vocational programs, apprenticeships, and technical certifications are not consolation prizes. In the current labor market, they are frequently better financial decisions than a 4-year humanities degree from a mid-tier private university. Number 4. If you do borrow, take federal loans only, never private. Federal loans come with income-driven repayment options, forgiveness programs, and deferment rights. Private student loans have none of those protections. They are closer to credit card debt than to a public benefit. Number 5. Be honest about why you are going. If you're studying something you love and you know the financial return is limited, that is a valid choice. Just make it a conscious choice. The problem is not passion. It is signing $80,000 in loans for a degree you chose because nobody told you there were other options. Here's the uncomfortable bottom line. The college degree was never purely an educational product. It was always also a business. For decades, that business delivered enough value that the transaction made sense. Then guaranteed loans removed the pricing discipline. Tuition exploded. The business kept growing, and the students kept borrowing, because the social pressure to participate never adjusted to reflect the new math. You're not looking at a broken education system. You're looking at a functioning extraction machine that still wears the clothes of a public good. The credential is real. The debt is real. The promise was always more complicated than the brochure admitted, but at least now you know how the numbers actually work and what questions to ask before you sign. Hit the like button and subscribe. And let me know in the comments. Do you think a degree was worth it for you?